We need to have a serious conversation about the unsung hero of your engine bay, a component that arguably does more to keep your car running efficiently than almost anything else, yet it rarely gets the credit it deserves until it fails. I am talking about the mass airflow sensor. To understand why this part is so critical, you have to understand that an internal combustion engine is essentially a chemistry experiment that happens thousands of times a minute. For gasoline to burn perfectly, extracting the maximum amount of energy while creating the minimum amount of pollution, it needs to be mixed with air at a very specific ratio. This is called the stoichiometric ratio, which is 14.7 parts air to 1 part fuel by mass. Notice I said by mass, not by volume. This is the key. Air is tricky. It changes based on temperature and altitude. Driving your car on a cold winter morning at sea level is very different from driving through a desert mountain pass in July. Cold air is dense and packed with oxygen atoms. Hot air is thin and spread out. If your car's computer just guessed how much fuel to inject based on how much space the air was taking up, it would be wrong half the time. You would either run rich, blowing black smoke and wasting gas, or run lean, causing the engine to overheat and potentially melt pistons. This is where the mass airflow sensor steps in to save the day. It sits in your intake tract, acting as the gatekeeper. Its job is to count the oxygen molecules entering the engine in real time. But how does it do that? It is actually brilliant engineering. Most modern cars use a hot wire mass airflow sensor. Inside the housing, directly in the path of the airflow, there is a tiny, hair-thin wire made of platinum or tungsten. The car's computer sends an electrical current through this wire to heat it up to a precise temperature, usually about 200 degrees Celsius above the ambient air temperature. As you drive and air rushes past this wire, it cools the wire down. This is the physics of convection. The more air molecules that hit the wire, the faster it cools. The sensor's electronics are constantly monitoring this. When the wire starts to cool down, the sensor forces more electrical current through it to maintain that hot temperature. The amount of current needed to keep the wire hot is directly proportional to the mass of the air flowing over it. It is an incredibly fast and accurate way to measure airflow. The sensor translates this electrical effort into a signal frequency or voltage and sends it to the engine control unit. The computer receives the signal and says, okay, I have exactly this many grams of air entering the cylinders right now, so I need to pulse the fuel injectors for exactly 3.5 milliseconds to match it. This feedback loop happens instantaneously. This precision is why your car can start effortlessly on a freezing morning and run smoothly in scorching heat without you ever touching a carburetor screw. But the benefits go beyond just making the car run. The mass airflow sensor is the primary reason modern cars are so clean. By hitting that perfect air-fuel ratio, the catalytic converter can do its job and scrub the exhaust gases. If the mass airflow sensor fails or gets dirty, your emissions go through the roof, and you will likely fail your state inspection. Furthermore, and this is something many people do not realize, the mass airflow sensor plays a huge role in how your automatic transmission behaves. The computer uses the airflow data to calculate engine load. Basically, it asks, how hard is the engine working right now? If the mass airflow sensor shows a huge intake of air, the computer knows you are demanding power, maybe merging or towing. It tells the transmission to boost line pressure and hold the gear longer. If the sensor is reading low because it is faulty, the transmission might think you are just coasting and shift into a higher gear too early, making the car feel gutless and causing the transmission to hunt for gears. So, a healthy mass airflow sensor protects your transmission too. Now, you might see a plastic grid or a honeycomb screen in front of the sensor. A lot of forums will tell you to cut that out to gain horsepower. Please, ignore that advice. That screen is an airflow straightener. The air coming through your filter is turbulent and chaotic. The sensor needs smooth, laminar airflow to read accurately. That screen combs the air so it hits the hot wire evenly. Removing it confuses the sensor, makes your idle erratic, and can actually lose you power because the computer will play it safe and dump extra fuel. The mass airflow sensor is a masterpiece of simplified complexity. It has no moving parts to wear out, yet it controls the explosive power of your engine with pinpoint accuracy. Treating it with respect, keeping your air filter clean, and addressing any check engine lights immediately is the best way to ensure your car lasts for hundreds of thousands of miles.